Hello everyone and welcome back. I hope that you are doing fine. In this lecture, we will understand the database and the database instance, and we have to understand what is the difference between database and the database instance. And this is the core for any database administrator. So this topic is very important. So now let's start. First thing, the Oracle database consists of two major components: the database storage and the Oracle instance. We said before that the database is organized collection of information. It contains collection of database files stored in a disk storage. So this is the physical, you can see it in your eyes, okay? So it contains collection of database files. Okay. Now, we have many types of database files. We have 9 types of database files. We have data files, we have control files, read log files, database backups, archived read logs, parameter files, password file, alert log file, and trace files. We will understand all these types of files, don't worry. So I just want you to take the concept in this lecture. Okay, so now we know what is the meaning of database. Now let's move to the database instance. Actually, a database instance is a set of memory structure and processes. So the instance is memory structures and processes that manage database files. Okay, so this is very important. So note, a database instance exists only in memory, and this is very important. Okay, so now I have the main two components of Oracle database. I have Oracle database files and I have the Oracle instance. The Oracle instance manage the database files, and the Oracle instance contains two main things: memory and processes. Okay, in another word, the Oracle instance is the Oracle program or binary loaded into the server RAM. And it's created by Oracle every time you start up your database. So every time you start your database, the Oracle instance started again. Okay, why we do this? Because reading from memory is a lot faster compared to reading from disk. So in Oracle database, we don't read the files direct. We have the Oracle instance, which is the Oracle program loaded into the server. Nice. Actually, in the memory, I have two types of memories. I have SGA and PGA. We will understand this in details, don't worry. And I have two types of processes. I have server processes and background processes. Remember this information very well. Okay, now every running Oracle database is associated with at least one Oracle database instance. This is very important. So every running Oracle database is associated with at least one Oracle database instance. Now, another important note. Because an instance exists in memory and database exists on disk, an instance can exist without a database and the database can exist without instance. This is very good information. Now, the last and very important note. Losing instance, no issue, but losing data files, for example, losing the data. So if you lose some of data files, this means that you are losing the database. But if you lose the instance, this is not issue because you can create it again. Okay, very nice. Now we have to understand the instance more in a very simple example. Actually, you can understand what is the difference between database and database instance, like Microsoft Word and Microsoft Document. So for example, the Microsoft Word, imagine it as the instance, so it is the program, but the Microsoft Document is the database. So we use the Microsoft Word to read the data inside the document, right? So this is exactly the difference between the database and database instance. In this example, if I lose this document, this means that I cannot see this data, right? But if I lose the Microsoft Word program, no issue, because you can install it again, right, in order to open this file. So this is the most simple scenario or example to understand the difference between database and database instance. Okay, very nice. Now we have to understand the Oracle database servers architecture. Actually, we have many configurations options for the Oracle server. The first one is a single instance database. So I have a server machine. Inside this server machine, I have a database instance and a database. So the relation 1-to-1, I have one database instance and one Oracle database. And in our course, we will focus only on this example or in this configuration. Another configurations, multi-single instance database on same server. So I have a server, for example, I have two database instance and two databases. Also the relation 1-to-1, but here I have two databases on the same server. And the third scenario is called Oracle RAC. In this scenario, I have one database and I have many instances accessing this database. And this is called RAC. And this provides for me high availability, scalability, and high performance. And this will not cover in this course because this is a separate course. So I just want you to understand that I have three configurations options. Okay, very nice. So this is enough for today. Thank you for listening and see you in the next video.